Today is one of those sunny but cloudy days, so the video is gonna go from bright to dark. I'm sorry. We're just gonna get that out of the way. Now we're gonna ignore it, and now we're gonna start unboxing some things. First of all, I got a package from an author, and I know what it is because she did ask me if she could send it to me. So I'm gonna open it down here so you can't see my address. I'm so excited about this book. I do not accept all the books that authors and publishers want to send me. I try to keep it to ones that I'm actually interested in, and I'm so excited about this one. Let's see. This is The Eternity Gate by Catherine Briggs. And it even says advanced reader's copy. So this is a YA fantasy book that will be published by Enclave Publishing September 12th. I love that they say that on here for advanced reader copies. So I'm very excited. This is going to be a duology, and it came with a cool bookmark. It has long been held that both Treasure and the Eternity Gate survived together, or nothing did at all. I really enjoy Enclave Publishing. One of my goals was to read 10 of their books this year, and we'll be talking about that as we go through my goals. Yeah, so excited about this. So I'll read a little bit of the back. I never like to know a whole lot going in, and then I'm going to try to read the first sentence or so. It says, destroy the key, save her people and herself. The Eternity Gate is found, and kings and monsters battle over its legends of treasure. But rumors whisper that someone stole the gate's ancient key. Now we're going to have some names that I'm probably going to pronounce incorrectly. Seo, handmaiden to the princess, keeps 3 secrets. First, she is gifted in fire, not light, and may as well be cursed. Second, she translates a prophecy warning that the gate does not offer treasure, but judgment. And third, Jorai, the scorned princess and Seo's confidant, entrusts her with the key and disappears. So, very curious. I have never really been disappointed by anything Enclave has published. I'm trying to think. I feel like they've all been like at least 4-star books, if not 5. Through the paper window, lingering stars winked against a cold sky. The morning my 18th winter passed, and I, Seo, came of age. I'm very excited to read this book. Catherine Briggs, The Eternity Gate, coming out September 12th. So there's my first thing. Then we're going to get onto my book outlet order. So I placed one recently because I had quite a few credits because people have been using my referral link, which just if you've never placed a book outlet order before, you can get $5 off if you use my link, and then I get $5 towards my next purchase. So I had a couple of rewards saved up, and there's kind of 2 themes going here. We have a bunch of middle grade, and then we have teeny books. That, with one exception, I think the rest of them are either middle grade or teeny books. So let's start with the middle grade because that's what's on top. The first one is The Lost Year by Catherine Marsh. My kids and I have been listening to this book for a few months. We haven't listened in the last month, to be honest. We are 85% through, loving the book. When the foster kids came back, we kind of stopped listening, so we have a little bit left, but the kids have been loving it. It is dual timeline, but we follow 4 different characters, I think. So we have Matthew, who's kind of present day. This is the beginning of COVID, and he lives with his great-grandmother and his mother. And then we're following his great-grandmother as she is, I think, around 11, 12. She's in Ukraine during the famine and all the things that are going on in Ukraine. And so we follow his grandma and her cousins. There's 3 of them. And it's really good. It's like got some funny parts, but it's also like really hard hitting and deep. I cannot wait to finish this. As of right now, where we're at, it's going to be a 5-star book. Hopefully nothing brings it down, but so far I highly recommend this. This sun is gonna actually drive me nuts. I know I said I wasn't gonna comment on it, but it's very annoying. Okay, the next 2, I keep getting these books at the same time. This series, first of all, we've got Eggie Morton, Mystery Queen, The Dead Man in the Garden. This is book 3 in this middle grade mystery series where we follow like little Agatha Christie if she was solving murders with Hercule, aka in this story Hector. And in this one there is a dead man in the garden. They are at a Yorkshire spa hotel, and yeah, I've just been enjoying the series. There are 4 books out, So there's one more than what I have, but now I own the first 3, thoroughly enjoying it. And then another middle grade historical mystery series is the Myrtle Hardcastle series. So this one is In Myrtle Peril, and this is the last book that came out. They've been coming out like one after another. They're being released kind of like 1 or 2 months apart, so I've been keeping up with it. And I just read this one, I think back at the beginning of the year. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So Myrtle's father in this story, he has what, tonsillitis I think or something. He gets his tonsils removed. So we like get a look into like Victorian like surgery and hospitals and stuff. And of course a murder happens and Myrtle tries to insert herself. What I do really love about the Myrtle Hardcastle series is, first of all, the audiobooks are great, but also there's lots of little footnotes which are either kind of like witty and or they'll tell you some like Victorian history kind of in a roundabout way. Really enjoying this series as well. Okay, here's my one exception. I got the poetry of Robert Frost. Now I've read some of Robert Frost's poetry, not a ton, some of the more popular ones, but I'm curious to read more, and I love having a decently large, because it's growing, collection of poetry. So this is going to go on my like poetry to read stack, and I will get to this eventually. Now we're on to my teeny books, as I call them. First up, I didn't realize this first one was going to be so teeny. This is Murder, She Said. It's the quotable Miss Marple, and I've seen this on Book Outlet for a while, and I finally just took the plunge, and these are just different Miss Marple quotes. I was expecting a little bit more than just like one quote kind of per page, but as a Miss Marple fan, this is okay. I definitely wish it would have been more, but I'm still going to enjoy this for sure. I have a couple more Miss Marple books to read, so I don't think I'm going to read this until I've finished her books, just in case there's any kind of like spoilery stuff in here. But after I finished the last couple, I'm going to read this. Then I got 3 books in the, what is this series called? These are the Macmillan Collector's Library editions. So these little ones that are like blue and gold. I have a couple of these already, and I got a couple more to add to it. First one is Don Quixote. This one is chunky. Like, yes, the book is little, but the font is tiny. Although they're not bad to read from, although this one's pretty thick, it might be a little harder. I enjoyed the ones that I have read from my small books. The only thing is this one's dirty. I'm gonna see if I can get that cleaned off. I was not very interested in reading Don Quixote until this spring. Friends of ours, their 15-year-old son was in a play and we went and watched, and it intrigued me, and now I'm like, I actually do think I want to read this story. So I got this one, not realizing quite how big it was going to be, but that's okay. Then I got 2 smaller ones. Okay, here's one that I do not know how to pronounce because I knew I was going to struggle with the pronunciation. So I went online and I looked up different audiobooks, and different narrators pronounce it different ways. So can I even pronounce this wrong? Because I think I heard 3 different pronunciations. So there was like my Antonia, my Antoinette, how was it? Antonia was another one. I don't know how to pronounce it because literally if you search on YouTube, there are multiple audiobooks with multiple different pronunciations. So is there a right way? I don't even know. I don't know anything about this book. I think that Dia was recently reading this though, so I picked that one up. And then the last one in this little edition is Poems for Travelers. And I don't know how many poems there are. Well, quite a few actually. There's 200, almost 200 pages in here, and kind of like 1 poem per page. So different Poems for Travelers. And these are also cool because they do have a ribbon, a nice little blue ribbon to match. And I do like, because I always take the dust jacket off when I read them, they do have these like cool embossed covers, which you can kind of see there. They're nice little books. Let's put this ribbon right at the beginning. Am I gonna read the introduction? Honestly, probably not. Let's just go right to the first poem, and that's where my bookmark will go. So those are my little books, my book haul, my book mail. And now we're gonna go on to the, what's it called? The mid-year freakout tag and go over some of my goals. I just need to pull up the questions for the mid-year freakout tag. So this is my 4th year doing this tag. 2020, 2021, 2022, and now 2023. Yikes. I've been on BookTube for 3.5 years now. So let's go over the questions, and then I think it either talks about my goals or we're gonna quickly go over my bookish goals. So the first question is the best book you've read so far this year. And I feel like that is such a hard question. I don't know if I struggle with it every year so much as I'm struggling with it right now. But I feel like if you told me like or asked me what is the favorite classic book you've read this year, I'd probably have an answer. Or like, what is your favorite nonfiction book? I'd probably have an answer. But just in general, like favorite book, they don't really, it's hard to put different genres against each other. Like I feel like I'd have to gravitate towards nonfiction because it's gonna affect my life more than fiction will. If I was going with nonfiction, I would say A Praying Life by Paul E. Miller, because I found this last year to be a bit of a struggle prayer-wise, and that book really changed things. I enjoyed it so much. So I would say that, but I could probably give you 1 or 2 favorites in each genre as well, but that would probably take up an entire video worth just right there, so we'll leave it at that. Best sequel that you've read so far this year? Oh, I didn't think this question through. What has been a really good sequel? I'm gonna pull up my Goodreads, which let me just say, I have been good at keeping this up this year. A sequel. I know I've started some that I've enjoyed, but have I read a good one? I gave The Haunted Bookshop 5 stars. So is that the best sequel that I've read? Apparently I've read a lot of books. I'm just scrolling here to see if I have a different thought, but I think that's it. I think The Haunted Bookshop. I gave both Parnassus on Wheels and The Haunted Bookshop 5 stars on Goodreads. I think The Haunted Bookshop was maybe a little closer to 4.5, but those books did not feel like they were written like in the I think the first one was 1917 or 1912. Like, I really enjoyed it, so we'll go with that. A new release you haven't read yet but want to? Yeah, quite a few actually. I have one out from the library right now. I have Only the Beautiful by Susan Meisner. I have a number on NetGalley that I have not read yet. So I'll say this one because I have a physical copy here, but there is quite a few. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Well, we just talked about how I'm excited about this book. I'm excited about all of Sanderson's secret projects that are coming out. Although the last one wasn't as good as the first one, so I'm a little bit less excited maybe. There's also another Jamie Jo Wright book coming out in the fall. So all of those. Biggest disappointment. Man, I didn't think these through. So what has been my biggest disappointment? I really did not enjoy A Northern Light. I thought that one was going to be better than it was. That's probably the lowest rated one that I've read for a while. So I will say A Northern Light. Thought it was going to be better. Biggest surprise, yeah, possibly, I haven't talked about this one, but it will be in my June wrap-up, is The Outsiders. I thought like, yeah, it'll be good because people like it, but not like almost making me cry kind of good. That one, and also I read, I think it was in May, Daddy Longlegs, maybe it was April. Really enjoyed that one as well. So some of the classics are really surprising me this year. Favorite new debut or to you author? That's a tricky one because some of the ones that I've given 5 stars to, I've read other things. No, that wouldn't work anyway. Well, I've read other things by them, but didn't give them a great rating. So what would I say? Can I say my daughter? I really enjoyed her book and I'm excited to see what else she comes out with. I don't think I've read a ton of new authors that I loved. Like, so I loved Daddy Longlegs by Jean Webster, but I've only read one book by her, so I don't know if I can say like she's a favorite new author. There's other books that I've loved, but I feel like you have to read a couple books to know if they're like a favorite new author. Yeah, so I don't think I have a favorite new author yet. Newest fictional crush, I say this every year, I don't have fictional crushes, so skip that one. Newest favorite character. Well, I really liked Judy from Daddy Longlegs, but I've mentioned that book a ton. So which other books have had good characters? Oh, I don't remember her name. I think her name is Grace in All Fall Down by Ally Carter. That was a good one. And speaking of Ally Carter, Molly from Dead City was fun too. Oh, Mrs. Kipp. Yeah, definitely she's on the list. And Pony Boy from The Outsiders. So, oh, and what was her name? Things We Didn't Say, Joanna. She was another favorite character, so I have multiple. Sometimes I have an answer, like can actually answer a question, and sometimes I can not answer it, and sometimes I over answer it. A book that made you cry. Yeah, there was a few. Well, I said The Outsiders, so let's go with that one. A book that made you happy, but like I'm assuming probably didn't make you cry. A book that made you happy. I don't read happy books. No, I really don't read happy books. Well, maybe Daddy Longlegs. Can I use this for every single question? Most beautiful book you've received or bought so far this year? Yes. I didn't buy it this year. I just barely finished reading one that's beautiful. Does that count? I feel like I want to count that. That is Sky Hunter. This cover is beautiful. With the dust jacket off, the book is beautiful all the way around. And then this feels like butter in a positive way. And then the book just lays so nicely. Like this is, and then it's got the title there. This is just a beautiful book, but you have to wait until my June wrap up to see what I actually think of it. But as far as the physical book goes, this is a favorite. So that will be my answer for that, even though I didn't really answer the question because I bought this last year. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? Well, like all of those, all the ones on my shelf, just as many as I possibly can. I would like, can I even say this? Is this extreme? I would like to have all those books read by the end of the year. There's less than 50 books on there now. That's possible. We'll see if that happens. Okay, and then we're gonna quickly go through some of my goals for the year. So I wrote them down. I have them in a binder, little check boxes so I can check things off as I go. I'm a bit of a goal nerd. Okay, reading goals. First thing I'm trying to do is complete the 2023 Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. I'm pretty much on par. I mean, I've read June's book and kind of all the books so far, except in May, I did not finish Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. So by the end of the year, I'm either going to read it and keep it, or just like DNF it and get rid of it. So I'm going to decide by the end of the year. So I feel like I'm on track here for that one. My second goal was to keep my TBRs to a 7-book maximum. I did this for 2 months and then didn't listen to it at all for March. And for the most part, I've been keeping it smaller, but I don't like putting a number on this, I've decided. Then, okay, so I had originally when I did shared my goal video back during Vlogmas, I said include one NetGalley book on my monthly TBR. And then in January, I decided to change this and just have it as like, try to read all my NetGalley books. So that's kind of what I'm going off of. And so far I've read 2, 4, 6, 7 NetGalley books, and I still probably have a little bit more than that. I don't think I'm quite at 50%. So I'm doing okay with this. I'm trying to stop getting books on there so I can just be done with it. But I need to pick back up. Read 7 books off of my list of 50 classics I want to read before I die. So I have that here on my cover of my binder. And so far this year, I've read 3 out of 7. I'm going to be reading Moby Dick, or I've started Moby Dick. And then I have a couple other ones that I have planned for the rest of the year. So I should be able to hit this. Currently, I'm a little bit behind, but it should still be doable. Read 7 books that are 500 plus pages. So far I've read 1, and that was Stellar Loon. And I started 2, and I've currently put those off. So we'll see. I've also started Moby Dick, so I have to finish that one. I'm definitely behind on this goal. Then I wanted to read 10 books by Enclave Publishing, and I have read 4. So I'm not quite at the halfway mark. This book will be number 5, and then I have to find 5 more to read before the end of the year. Then I want to read 10 nonfiction books, and so far I'm at 9. So that one I'm blowing out of the water. One of my goals was to break up with the library for a season because I just wanted to focus on my own books, and I did not request books for myself in January and February, so I feel like that was a win. And then I have 2 lists here. I have 12 fiction books to read in 2023 and 12 nonfiction books, and I did a video sharing all those books. So far for the fiction books, I've read 2, 4, 5, 6 and started 1. So I'm like pretty much exactly where I'm supposed to be there. And then for my nonfiction books, I've only finished 3, DNF'd 1. So I've only crossed off 4, so I'm definitely behind on those ones. Overall, I feel like I'm almost where I'm supposed to be. I'm a little bit behind on most of my goals, ahead on a couple, but still a little more behind. But at the same time, this is just for fun. I just like to push myself. It's not the end of the world. I care, but I don't really care. But I wanted to get you guys caught up on the goals, the mid-year freakout tag, the books I've got recently. Let me know if you guys don't have a booktube channel and you're not doing the mid-year freakout tag. I will leave the questions below and I would love to hear your answers to them. I always love having bookish conversations with you in the comments. Thanks so much for being here, guys.